everybody. Hello. My name is Rick. I am co-founder of HOPR. Today, not wearing yellow, but whitish colorish, because in order to showcase what HOPR is capable of doing, we started a year ago at Devconnect in Bogota on a small hackathon project, the first distributed/private RPC provider. Why? Why not, as we say in the Web3 space, but let's get there. So, in order to know a little bit better who I'm talking to, because now you know me a little bit, who am I talking to today? Who is from Turkey? And who is from the rest of the world? Okay, good. Everybody's here. That's super cool. Thank you very much. Who is less than 3 years in the Web3 space? Only OGs. Wow. And welcome to the newbies. No, that's super cool because we're all here since not so long in terms of Mother Earth, relatively shortly, but it's really good to have you. Who is coding? Okay, and who are the economists and other marketing dudes like me? Okay, good. Welcome to the club. We need everything. But the most important question is, when we started at one or the other point of time, and that's, I believe, which is amazing that you're all here in a bear market, so I guess you really want to build something and not only ape into anything, which is also interesting, that's fine. But the reason why we really came to the Web3 is maybe because we didn't like some parts of Web2, or we thought like this can't be it, or this can't be final stage. And the reason why we came here is freedom. And in order to reach freedom, not only on an island where we believe that we're free, but in order to reach freedom from a technical perspective, we need to be censorship resistant, and that means we need to reach a status of credible neutrality. It's as simple as it is. So, how do we do that? It's relatively easy. It's a Decentralized RPC Summit, so 50% of the answer is in the header of our summit. So decentralization, although most or many, or let's say not all Web3 projects are decently decentralized, but I personally believe that there is various pieces of the infrastructure which should be a little bit more or properly decentralized and currently is not. There's a few ones who really started it. We're talking about RPC providers in general. I think it's a really complicated movement. It's not something easy to do over the weekend. Otherwise, everybody would have already done it. On the other part, I think it's important that this will finally becoming reality. Why? Because in order to anything on chain, no matter what you want to do, you want to buy, sell, swap, ape, vote, delegate voting right, you need a wallet, and a wallet needs RPC calls. None of that, nothing on chain happening. At least for dumb people like me who don't really understand to code the shit themselves. And in order to reach that state, infrastructure needs to be decentralized. But if you think of it for a second, we're having this ugly Web2 world where everybody is harvesting your data. But compared to AWS and Google, who at least partially tell us, or the people who are working for, what they're doing with your data, imagine you have a really properly decentralized world. Cool. That means that every one of us is running minimum 1 or 2 or 3 nodes. Okay, that means not only the good people in this room are running some nodes, but also maybe, you know, the weirdos from our neighborhood. That means that maybe some people are running nodes where we wouldn't trust our freaking data, because they wouldn't maybe tell us what they would do with it. Intended or not intended, whatever it might be. And that's the reason why I believe that it's important to not only have decentralization, but also privacy. Because we don't want to show everything to everybody. And personally, I believe we should have choice. I think it's important that for some data you say, no, I don't care. for whatever reason, because you want to do that the way you want. But for the other reason is like, maybe the other stuff I'd like to protect because I don't know what's coming next, or because it's my personal data, it's my medical data, it's my transaction data, it's whatever it is. It's not only crypto transactions, but I want to protect it. And I don't want that everybody is, by harvesting my data, by looking at what I'm sending, at what time of the day, to which IP address, is going to be protected at its best. And this is exactly what we're doing at HOPR. That's the reason why we're talking about why RPC providers shouldn't be only decentralized, but also private. There's one thing which is a little bit strange, and I think that most people of you might already know it, but I'd like to talk about it for a minute, because I believe it's not properly talked about in the last years. And in September, I was invited from a wonderful friend, Francesco. He organizes Builders Nights from Consensus. And we had the ability to ask Vitalik some questions, and one of our team members asked various questions, and many, many other people. And at the end of the Q&A, he said, like, yes, absolutely agree, we need more off-chain privacy solutions. And I think this is something not everybody's always talking about, because it might be obvious, but it also might not be very obvious that you're always thinking about it, because when we're talking and when we're coding and when we're working on and on in our environment, and we're trying to focus on decentralization, maybe other things get a little bit lost. So let's quickly talk about this. When you touch your phone, when you touch your desktop, it's all super, super cool. Fine, here. When you touch your phone, when you touch your laptop, you are interacting with various companies, if you like it or not, one or the other way. And these data needs to be magically sent around from your device to whatever Google. And even if you're not on Facebook, we all know that somehow they get you. And in between, there needs to be a transport layer, you know, this magic stuff which flows through the air, which nobody is able to see. That's the amazing transport layer. And when we're talking about what we're having in the Web3 space, it's exactly the same. So there's an amazing decentralized application. There's many, many people on working many, many interesting and very important stuff. And then there's the blockchain, but somehow this stuff needs to get from left to right, or from right to left. Agree? And this is exactly what Vitalik said and what Vitalik is talking about, and we talk about off-chain. And that's exactly what we do at HOPR. The stuff needs to be sent from left to right. The stuff needs to go somehow through whatever. T-Mobile, Swisscom, whomever it is who's sending your data, AT&T, Vodafone, in order to do that. And HOPR is the transport layer, the off-chain data layer in order to send your data. You could encrypt your data. Absolutely agree, would be super, super cool. But if you think of it, or using a VPN, and we come to that in a moment, and if you think of it, it's a little bit like, it's a nice start, but maybe it's not what you want. Christmas is coming up, and there's going to be many, many parcels under the Christmas tree. And if you want to be really, really good in already guessing what your auntie and uncle are giving you for Christmas, here's one tactic. It's like encrypting your data. If you stand at the DHL conveyor belt here in Istanbul, and you look at these packages for a certain period of time, super cool. And then you start to unpack these packages, you start a huge Excel, and then you're like, okay, this and that size, coming from this and that region, going to this and that region, sent on whatever Mondays, blah, 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 blah. It's that weight and all that stuff. So gathering all the data, unpack it, look into it and see like, okay, good, tennis rackets, fine. If you do that once, you know one packet. If you do that 100 times, you know 100 packets, and maybe you can already relate to, yeah, we had that color like a few packets ago. If you did it 10,000 times, you get really good at it. And I think after a few million packages, you know exactly what you get for Christmas. Now, if you think of that in a data environment where you are sending your data on a daily basis with your cell phone and desktop on and on and on, because how many moments in your daytime you're not touching your phone or your desktop? Imagine that not me are doing it, but that some amazing machine is doing it. So encryption becomes really lame, right? Because you know exactly, when you look at the metadata of the data, what's happening next. Like this person is sending, again, messages to his mom. Fine. Arguing again. They all know that. They don't need to look into the data anymore, and that's what NSA Director Hayden said, like, we're killing people based on metadata. Sounds like a lame saying, but this is exactly what it is. Why should they decrypt all the shit when they already know what's going on without encrypting it? And this is exactly why we started to build infrastructure for privacy. Let me quickly explain what we were doing in 3 quick slides. So the first one is, if you use a VPN, it's all nice, you get a different IP address. So instead of your IP address, you get a different IP address. Doesn't make it much harder for any attacker to attack you, but hey, you have a different IP address. So it's super cool for streaming any cool videos out of the US, where you want to make Netflix or any other streaming service believe that you're in the US and you get the stuff. Okay, amazing, that's super, super cool. Anyways, everybody is still able to look at your metadata. Encrypted or not, still the same. So one of the things which we are changing at HOPR is we're taking your packet, we're splitting it up into many indistinguishable packages. We call it the yellow HOPR balls. They all look exactly the same. So from the outside, thanks to Sphinx packet format, nobody sees a difference, no matter if it's your packet or yours or yours or yours. And then we mix them, throw them into our network, and that's it. The second part is none of these packages. So if you have a message, it might be whatever, 10, 20, 30 balls. None of these packages is routed via the same route. So the first one goes through the one in the middle, the second part of your package goes to the third one, and so on and so on. And at the end, the receiver, after 1 or 2 or multiple hops, it gets reassembled at the destination where you wanted to send your message, no matter what it is. So it's different to any VPN, and it's much more complicated in order to know who's doing what with whom, because none of these players in the middle know where the packet is coming from or where it's going to. And if you would look into this packet, if you would decrypt it, then you would maybe find from a text message half a T. What do you with half a T, a quarter of an O, or a full A? Might be part of a message, might be part of whatever. The second part is that we're doing mixing at each of these nodes. So it's not first packet in, first packet out. So whenever Rik is sending a packet, then it's not the first one in, the first one out. We're sending it in, we're mixing it with other packages, we're mixing it with cover traffic, and at the end of the game, this gives superior privacy to whatever is existing right now. Because you can't observe the entire network in order to see who's doing what with whom and then reassemble it. If you mix it at these nodes, then it gets really complicated. And the third one, and this is our home-baked USP, if you, for example, decide that you would like to support privacy, you're able to run a HOPR node, and every time somebody sends a message from A to B and you're relaying the message for these people or parts of this message, you get paid in HOPR token. And that's the reason why we believe it's not only better decentralized, but it's also scalable. Because whenever people are able to make money, then usually they might think about running a node. Now, back to the Web3 space. Data harvesting in a Web3 space exists, yes or no? Who thinks that yes? Who says no way? Okay, good. We're on the same side. We can skip the next 5 slides. No. The scary part about it is that, I mean, it's all obvious we're talking about MEV. The scary part about it is that in the last 12 months, MEV costs every citizen of the Web3 in total over $1 billion US. That's guesstimated. Okay, good, fine. So it's costs. Currently, it's not very advanced. I mean, yes, searchers are starting to look at the mempool data from CowSwap, but this is still, you know, early shit. We're nowhere where the Web 2 is. But we're getting there, because currently it's not very automated. And MEV is, I would say, lovely. Because MEV just wants your money. Simple as that. AWS, Facebook, and others, they would like to know a lot more about you because they want to, or they're able to sell you any other shit. They want to know your religion, where you come from, if you have 1, 2, or 3 kids, your sexual orientation, your preferred holiday destination, or whatever they would try to sell you. MEV just wants your money, buy money. But if you start feeding this moloch of data harvesting, it wants more. It doesn't want less. Where did we get in the last 20 years in the Web 2 space? Now the question is that our vision and are we all fine with it for the Web 3 space? Or is there another option? So, of course, the solution would be HOPR. That's what I'm saying here as a co-founder. And that's exactly why we started to build RPCH. And because I simply want to choose myself if I would like to share everything with everybody on planet Earth or if I would like to protect it. And I'm not only talking about the picture of my neighbor's kids, which I think is none of the other businesses. It's also about my crypto tokens and coins, which I might have or not, or whatever. I'd like to decide for myself. I'd like to live in freedom and decide for myself what I would like everybody to know and what not. What I would like to share with the world, where I don't care, what I care, whatever. I simply would like to take a decision by myself. If you want to like to know how bad this really is, and if what I'm telling you here is half or fully correct or even scarier, if you don't want to have it scarier, I tell you don't not look at it, because it is a little bit scary. Derp is the, as we called it, dump Ethereum RPC provider. It's able to show you what your wallet is exposing. And this is not against wallets. I truly love wallets. I think they could do 1 or 2 things more and a little bit faster, but I think that it's also maximum complicated for wallets to do anything. Why? Because yeah, it's hard for them to make money. And if you're not earning a lot of money, then I think it's problematic to get really good developers in order to, you know, evolve your product. I personally believe that the wallets are the opportunity for mass adoption, but on 2 sides, not only on the user side, also on the developer side. Here I would agree we could use more people from really good Web 2 UX teams in order to, you know, not only make it a little bit easier for everybody to interact with it, get rid of some bugs, but also have some scam protection, fraud protection, privacy features built into the wallets which people do not understand, like HTTPS, but which are just there in order to protect you. And Derp will show you, if you run it with your wallet, what's exposing. Only you're able to see the data. It'll show you how many tokens and coins you have. It'll show you how many wallet addresses you have. Yes, it will. Your wallet is showing all the wallet addresses which you have, and it's also linking it to your IP address, which at the end of the day is where everybody is able to attack. And that's the reason why we started RPCH over HOPR. So all the RPC calls are sent through the HOPR network. The setup is relatively easy. Currently, there's 2 options in order to use it. The scenario, how we would like to see it being implemented, is that we're having this wallet SDK, which every wallet is able to integrate it. Then the second part is we have, just like Ethereum, we have 3 whitelisted entry nodes, which are there in order to operate your RPC call. And then we are running or routing all your RPC calls through the HOPR network in order to add privacy to all RPC calls. And then you can pick and choose your preferred RPC provider. Best case, of course, our preferred partners like Gateway, Allknows, Blast, Nethermind, and so on. And they bring it on chain. Currently, this version is live for ZK EVM, Ether, Ethereum, and Gnosis. And now let's see if this is half working. No, it's not. Then we leave it as it is. For you, as a developer, I guess everybody of you is able to run a Docker. If you're able to run a Docker, I have a little present for you. So you're able to download at degen.rpch.net our RPCH, download the Docker, run it in the Docker, and then you're able to use it on the 3 preliminary chains. Or if you were able to set your own chain, your own local host on MetaMask, for example, you're able to use it in the wallet of your choice, the wallet where you're able to set your own RPC endpoint, all the calls via RPCH. And with this code, you get the premium version for the next 6 months for free. Try it out. And the funny thing is, if you really want to challenge it and see if it's correct what we were promising to you, use your wallet, run derp, see what's exposed, install RPCH, and then have a look at derp again. Good. I wish that we are not only onboarding 1 billion people, end users who are throwing in money into the game and everything is going to be funny. I wish that we were onboarding minimum 50% of this billion users, developers and startup founders, people who truly understand what the Web3 is about, who are educating more people, who are giving more people the opportunity to work in the Web3 space, especially in this environment and in these times. And I truly wish that one fine day we're going to have a absolutely fantastically decentralized infrastructure where privacy is at least a default setting or an option you're able to pick and choose everywhere in order to have this massive opportunity for everybody, not only us. I mean, looking at us, we're all sitting here. We're all relatively fine. At least we're healthy. We could afford to come here, even if it was just, the bus. There is many people out there who do not have this opportunity. And sometimes it's not only about swapping tokens and coins and buying and selling NFTs. Sometimes it's about having cash in your pocket, and that's the only opportunity for you to save money. And I think this is something we should solve until everybody on planet Earth is able to make a better living for him or herself. And that's exactly why we need to work on the infrastructure and make it available for everybody. Thank you very much.